Hello everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and today, of course, we have some more Silmarillion Total War. This time it's going to be a 2v2 battle. This is going to be played on one of our newer tournament maps. These are the Mires of Ivrin, and it was created by Stewart of Dale. And so, we have a pretty good show for you today. I'm going to be playing another mobility-based comp, and my opponent is going to, or rather, my teammate, rather, is going to be FFA Muffins, and he's going to be doing something fairly similar, with, of course, the Green Elves of Obsidian. But, let's take a look at my composition first. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. And this will be a good opportunity, I think, to talk about some of the new changes coming to the Feanor faction. But yeah, so my army, of course, is the House of Feanor. I've got a couple units of the Archers of Emerald. I've given them armor upgrades. I think I've also got 2 units of Stalkers of Thargelion. Yes, indeed, I have 2. I've also given them chevrons and attack upgrades so that they're a little bit stickier. I've brought 2 units of Rangers of Hellevorn and 2 units of the Spearmen, or rather the Shield Bearers of Hellevorn. In addition, I've also got some of the fine cavalry from Feanor. I've got 1, I think maybe 2 units of the Hunters of Kelegorm. Maybe it's just 1. Yeah, I just have 1 unit of the Hunters of Kelegorm. I've also got a full company of the Riders of the Pass, and I'm pretty sure I got a detachment hanging around here as well. So 75 Horse Archers. I've also got 3 units of Mounted Company of Kudufin. They both have, or all 3 of them rather, have both their attack and armor upgrades. And then I've got the Roqueni Maglora, which is one of the units that I want to talk to you about today. So the Roqueni and all of our other 2 HP cavalry as well, that includes the Thorangshik Warlords, have been made 1 HP, and we've kind of juggled their stats around a little bit. The biggest change is that they have lost their lance and their massive charge value, but instead they've gained a mace. So now the House of Feanor, which previously had next to no armor piercing outside of javelins, now has a dedicated armor piercing unit. It is quite expensive. It's less expensive than it was with the 2 HP, and it has more numbers, and it's also got an armor upgrade. It's not a cosmetic one, but it does add the stats, which is, in my opinion, I think more important, at least for the purposes of testing. So, pretty sexy new unit here. The Roqueni Magloro really hold their own in melee, especially with their armor upgrade. I think they go up to like 15 armor, so they're extremely tanky. And the reason behind this change is that things like armor-piercing arrows from the Kuthalim and the Roqueni Finicano were extremely effective at minimizing the amount of value that you can get out of your 2 HP cavalry because of the size of them. So rather than have a ton of 2 HP cavalry units running around with like 30-40 men in the unit, which I personally think is a little bit unbalanced, I decided I would basically change the unit. And so we have done so. And they actually work out really nicely. We're going to see a pretty good showing from them in this battle. But I think that's my whole army. Mostly cavalry. I've got some like light infantry and other things like that. But nothing really impressive in terms of the infantry lineup, but our cavalry, of course, is going to be what we use to try and take the day. And so, the Green Elf army of my... I keep wanting to call him my opponent. It's definitely not. He's my teammate, and that's FFA Muffins. He's a really, really good player. Probably, in my opinion, at least one of the best players in the community. So it was fun to be able to play with him today, and we'll be playing in a tournament together as well. And this is a little bit of practice for that. So he's got Sentries of Gelion. He's also got some Outriders of Dweilwyn. Let's cover all of his hidden units first. We've got some Scouts of Gelion, which are the Foot Archer, whereas the Sentries are a Horse Archer. We've got some more Scouts of Gelion, and then some other Scouts of Gelion. So, 3 companies of the Scouts of Gelion. I think he's got 2 units of the Outriders of Dweilwyn as well. I could be mistaken. No, indeed, there is another unit there. He's also got 2 units of Hunters of Wrath Loriel. Some Urfin and Tower. I think he's got 1 full unit of Urfin. He's got a detachment of them as well. 2 units of the Spear Host of Gelion. Oh no, he's got a second full company here of the Urfin and Tower, and he's got the Ents, so you're going to be able to see the Ents in the field of battle today. But that's going to do for our army compositions. I don't think I've missed anything. No, we've got Randirum here, actually, so I have missed something. We have the Rangers here. In the traditional Ranger sense, now they have body-piercing arrows. They are the only unit in Silmarillion Total War outside of artillery that has that trait. That's a little unique thing that comes from playing as a Obsidian. And I think that's his full army. Haven't missed anything this time. Let's go ahead and see what our opponents are bringing to the battle today. And so, Our opponents today are the Dominion of Tolin Gaudahoth, commanded by General Artorius. He's brought some Gijek Scout as chosen. I think he's brought something a little bit like different, a little bit off meta. He's got some Wolf Guard here, at least two, actually 3 units of the Wolf Guard. And one of the changes coming to Silmarillion Total War is that we're giving armor upgrades in a very select fashion to a few extra factions, so that you have like the ability to customize and use more of your money and things like that. So the Wolf Guard are one of those units, but their armor upgrade is of course more expensive. I do want to add a little bit of faction flavor in there. It's not just the same armor upgrade prices and things like that for everybody. And so, 3 Wolf Guard in the center. It's actually a pretty sticky block. And chosen on either wings. These units all inspire. They all give +2. So this is not going to be an easy thing to get rid of. His second line is going to consist of 2 units at least of the Hitchbrook Rouse Warband. Got some Blood Drinkers here. 2 units of. Nope, 3 units of. And it looks like they've got attack upgrades. Also got some Laugskaraz in the back. 2 units of the Laugskaraz. 3 units of the Laugskaraz. So a lot of the more offensive Ward Cavalry. They do have armor piercing. They don't have shields, but their armor value is decent. They are technically medium cavalry at 7. He's also got a unit of the Vorback Kajutar, the legendary company for Tolin Gaudahoth, hanging around here in the back line somewhere, but we'll end up finding them eventually. Moving on now to his ally, we've got Lord of Belagos playing as the Realm of Angband. He's got 2 units of Troll Guard. He's also got a detachment of Arbalists here, a whole bunch of Thralls of Angband, which is a nice pick when you're playing against Assyrian for sure. And also a decent one against Feanor, because these are one of the few low-tier archers. In fact, I think they might be the only low-tier archer that has access to stakes. So you can play a little bit with area denial there and make life a little bit more miserable. Certainly slow down cavalry moving through important areas. He's also brought 2 units of the Mangonel, which is pretty scary. And I'll tell you our strategy to deal with that in just a little bit. Got some wretches here defending them out front. Spear Guard of the Iron Crown. That's probably because he knew he was going to be facing me, so we've got a lot of like good anti-cavalry tools here. Also got some Iron-shod Legionnaires in the fray, 1, 2, 3. Scourges of Gothma, which is the legendary company for Angband, which I think this might be the first time that we see them in combat? Maybe, question mark, unless Pixelated Apollo's video comes out before I'm able to release this, which it probably will. Also have a detachment here of the Iron-shod Halberds, and then another unit of wretches in this formation. He's got a Bulldog, and that's going to be where his general's hanging out, because of course, there's no finer bodyguard unit for Angband in the faction, in my opinion. And we've got 2 units here of unupgraded Iron-shod Ravagers. So, interesting composition, for sure. But if you look at the balance of power bar there, things are not looking so great for our side. That's largely because they have a ton of infantry, but I think these 2 army compositions are fairly evenly matched. And so, our strategy. I want you to pay attention to the terrain in this. Now, that's something that... This is why I really wanted to show you this video. I will tell you right now that this game isn't like incredibly close, but it is pretty entertaining and there's some good tactics on display. And good use of terrain is one of those things. So, that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. Terrain is important. There's a ton of units in Silmarillion Total War that have terrain bonuses, so it's important to be able to like pick out by looking at the tiles what terrain is what. And this particular one is mud terrain, which will slow any units quite significantly that come through it. And I think they also take extra fatigue when passing through mud terrain, and our strategy is going to revolve around that in a pretty big way. We've brought a lot of like fluid missile units and not a lot of line infantry. That's something that we do kind of lack, both myself and my ally Osirian. So we want to bleed the orcs as they come through these choke points and as they come through these patches of mud, and just use our superior mobility and firepower in order to wear them down and not take that infantry fight until we are absolutely ready. And that's because we expected that they would have 2 units of Mangonel. And if we get into a big old blob fight, they're going to bombard that with Mangonel from a distance. All it takes is a few units of trashy infantry to like really mix it up with our units in close quarters. They pin them in place, and then you blast them with the Mangonel, and it's an absolute nightmare. We've seen how good the Mangonel can be in the past, and doubling down on it like this actually does cost quite a lot now, as you're really only able to bring 1 before the red price increase, and we have played with the engine numbers a little bit, But if you want to bring 2 of them, it does cost you quite a lot. Nonetheless, if we take a fight before we're ready, before we've had a chance to either destroy the mangonels or limit them in some way, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So a huge part of how we play this is going to be avoiding that mangonel and trying to either neutralize it or destroy it by any means necessary. And Belegost also has some really scary goon squads here in the form of 2 units of Troll Guard, of Gothmog, and the Ironshod Ravagers, and the Bulldogs. This is a devastating flanking force that'll shred its way through most of the Assyrian units. Anyway, so I'm going to pull out a couple units of my mounted company very early, and we're going to send them on a deep flanking move through this pass in behind Angband, because one of the things that I noticed is that while he has many anti-cavalry tools, one of the things that he lacks is cavalry itself. So I have the mobility advantage here. I'm kind of able to take the positions that I want to, and I can pick and choose when I want my my engagements to begin, because he doesn't have any mobility to try and bully me or face me out. But Belegost is going to slowly move forward over here, and I think Artorius takes a little bit more of an aggressive stance. You can see him taking point here with Gijek Scouter's Wolf Guard, Sentries of Gelion, Horse Archers, and the Scouts of Gelion taking point and raining down death and destruction upon them as best as they are able. Now, he's actually had some hidden Hishpokras hunters here, which can be a really big problem for the Green Elves. You will be able to bring less of them. That sounds weird. You will be able to bring less. You won't be able to bring as many of them in the upcoming patch. But you will still have access to your detachments, I think. And you'll also be able to bring 1 full unit of the Hishpokras hunters. I think we're going to see that over here as well. So Muffins is going to have to be careful with how he approaches this, because the Hishpokras hunters, if they let loose, oh, it's going to be ugly. That's going to hurt the Sentries of Gelion quite a lot. Yeah, they're very, very light, and they're unshielded. I think he was trying to just, like, stop these units in place so that they would eventually disappear. But unfortunately, he gets a little bit too close to the Hishpokras hunters there. They're going to hard reform. I think they weren't quite ready. And, like, in a complete formation before they started to fire, so that's something that you can have happen. That is going to give Muffins the opportunity to disengage there, but damn, look at the devastation that unit has wrought. Yeah, something you really need to be aware of when playing against Tolan Gauderhoth, or anybody that has missiles as the Green Elves is, yeah, that's a pretty scary thing. Bringing my detachment forward of my Riders of the Pass, trying to help out my ally as best as I can, and to inflict losses and things like that. I think I sent them forward to attack the Hishpokras hunters, but Artorius ended up turning around here, so some of his chosen, even with those heavy shields, and they turn around, they don't get that bonus, and they are going to feel the wrath of my detachment archers. See Scouts of Gelion now moving forward as Muffins is taking a very aggressive stance here, and we're not doing too bad. We've managed to kill about 2%, but we've actually lost 3% in return as well. But my full company forward of Riders of the Pass, you can see the Randirim have popped their heads out, and they are immediately being focused by the Hishpokras hunter detachments. And I think he ends up going for the unshielded side of the Wolf Guard here with the Rangers, which is a really good idea, a great way to get some free and easy kills on some obviously very important heavy infantry that Artorius invested quite substantially in. Over here you can see Lord of Belegost sending forward the Goon Squad of Trolls, this big old Angband football team rushing down the Randirim of Tolgalen, hoping to try and catch them out. I don't think Muffins is going to let him do it. I've also moved forward my Archers of Amrod, kind of swung them out this way, and I'm in the process of sending my ally a whole bunch of my infantry as reserve units. Got Otorn My Teemo here as well. Don't know if I mentioned that earlier. It's going to be my General's Bodyguard. And they're going to be sort of like the fallback troops. So once he starts to get a little bit overwhelmed here, and maybe the engagement isn't looking like it's a good idea, especially with that mangonel hanging around, then the plan is to eventually fall back behind this muddy area so that we can again make good use of the terrain. Outriders of Dweilwyn now being brought forward, and Gijek Scouter's Wolf Guard are super easy prey for them. Low melee defense from the maces means that Lancers smash them up real nice. They are definitely a solid counter to them. And now the Randirim retreating in the face of the Troll Guard, but you can see the second that they touch that mud, they're going to slow down substantially. And so, these Lancers here, Also not a bad thing to use against trolls. You can see some of these trolls are going to go flying. I'm going to pull my Riders of the Pass out of there, try and get them out as quickly as possible. Seeing the opportunity to smash up some heavy infantry with my Lancers, I'm going to send my Hunters of Caligorn forward. They're going to crash into these units. Artorias is going to see it, unfortunately for him, a little bit too late. And those Chosen are going to miss their opportunity as my Hunters of Caligorn will be long gone by the time they get there. We've dealt some substantial damage to those two units in Wolfguard there. Managed to kill off a significant number of the unit. I'm going to throw in my Requeni Magloro, really good at smashing up trolls in their new form, and a attack here from my Lancers is going to take down more of these Troll Guard. I see 2 or 3 models fall there. My Requeni Magloro pinning them in place, and now they're kind of caught in the vice grip of some really nasty Feodor cavalry. Of course, my Lancers don't want to stay in there for too long. I want to pull them out if I can. Artorias is bringing in a little bit of support here. Muffins luckily has my back. Riders of the Wheelwind charging in. I'm going to crash into those Gijak Skadas units. That's going to give me an opportunity to disengage here. So a really nice fighting retreat. Scouts of Gelion really laying down the pain here. Second unit of Outriders of Dwylwyn being brought forward. And now there's a little bit of a sneakiness at the back here. So Artorias didn't see my troops. So I'm going to take those javelins and I'm going to just lay in to these Laugskaras, and we're basically going to kill off most of the unit here. They are unshielded, and that 7 armor is not really proof against 8 armor piercing damage. And so a significant number of those Laugskaras are going to get killed off before Artorias has an opportunity to react. You can see more troops now being shifted towards the front. I think these Hishbukras got shredded by the Rendir Mendokalen before they were obliged to retreat by the presence of the Troll Guard. You can see cavalry coming forward, but there's not really a ton of places to use them at the moment, and oh no, that's not good. And our cavalry is kind of just better than theirs. So I see another opportunity here for my Hunters of Caligorn to get good value and shred some of our enemy's infantry. And so they're going to charge once more into the Gijak Skadas Wolfguard, and they're going to side through them like a hot knife through a block of butter. Those Gijak Skadas Wolfguard are going to start questioning their reasons for remaining on the battlefield. They're going to try and countercharge there, but some elephants are going to come in along with another Lancer charge, even into the front of spears. It's still going to hurt. Still a Lancer charge. The Scout-High unit's getting shredded by Muffin's second and third lines. I'm going to pull up my Hunters of Caligorn before they get themselves into a situation where they've bitten off more than they can chew. Don't want to play around with those Gijak Skadas Chosen there, so I'm actually just going to pull them back almost completely. Our Riders of the Pass, both units have, I think, used all of their ammunition, so they're just kind of chilling here in reserve. Nope, these guys still have some ammunition. I'm going to crash in with my Requeni Magloro as well. It's been a little bit of a risky proposition, since those Wolfguard are backed up with some of the Chosen, and the Chosen can be very, very efficient in close quarters, especially in prolonged melee, even against Requeni Magloro with their mighty armor values. And this is where we realize that, oh, time to go. So that Mangonel starts raining down fire destruction. Ooh, going to cut through some of his own orcs there. I think these Scouts of Gelion are actually going to break under that pressure. I would not be surprised at all if they did. The Orphan and Tower, who I think there's 2 units here plus the detachment, they are going to very hastily disengage along with the Scouts. The Scouts of Gelion will rout here, but I think they end up coming back eventually. 100 or so of them running away, and they got chewed up pretty bad there. But nonetheless, if you look at the percentage, we actually came off pretty well relative to our enemy. We managed to kill off a significant number of the Tolin Gaurhoth infantry, and that's going to even out the balance of power bar, which is now more or less even. Hishbukras Hunters and the rest of these units now moving forward, and a little bit of action on the back lines here. After we assassinated this unit of Laugskaras, the Vorbak Gajutar came out of hiding, but unfortunately they didn't have any more reinforcements because the other cavalry unit, I believe, is over here right now. And these guys were stuck in some mud, so they weren't really able to come to their aid. So we managed to smash up 2 units of cavalry here, and one of them is the Legendary Company. That's a big deal for us. And so I've managed to kill those units off, and my Mounted Company, they suffered pretty heavily as a result, but nonetheless, seeing an opportunity here to go after the Mangonel, which is of course one of our main targets. I'm going to throw my cavalry at the back, but they're moving a little bit too slow. They're not going to get that charge bonus off, and therefore not going to do nearly as much damage to this Orc Mangonel as they otherwise could. If we look over here, got my Archers of Amrod in position. I've got a second unit of them. I think it's hanging out back here somewhere. Could be mistaken about that. I think maybe it's still over here. Yeah, it's just hanging out in this pass. And then, yeah, there's the other unit. I've still got a unit of Mounted Company in reserve, full ammunition. We're just kind of seeing what our enemy does, and we are actually drawing off a significant amount of forces here. He doesn't want to let my cavalry get behind him, especially not after what I did to his ally. Over here, Mangonel crew going to kill off about a quarter of it, but I can see help coming in. And the Iron Shot Arbalists, of course, are putting the Fear of Arrow into my Mounted Company, and they're going to be obliged to retreat as well. Over here, completely wiped out the Warbat Gadgetar, and seeing an opportunity, I'm going to throw them right at the rear of the Hishpukraz. I can see that Artorias hasn't actually noticed me yet, because these Blood Drinkers and the Laugskaraz are all facing the wrong direction. Oh, he also has Ash Priest as well, and that's going to be his bodyguard. And so, I'm going to go for it with the Mounted Company. If you can hit the Hishpukraz Hunters hard enough, sometimes all it really takes is one good charge. But since they were continuing to walk the other way, the impact of that charge is going to be minimized. Artorias is going to notice it, and a wave of furious orcs is going to bear down upon my Mounted Company. And unfortunately, I didn't see it, so the Mounted Company here, I think, ends up getting like mostly killed off. I do have more, however, and I still have that third unit in reserve, which hasn't actually been tested yet. But yeah, my Mounted Company here, I'm not going to see it in time. I think they end up routing off. Over here, I can see Troll Guard, a very chewed up couple of units of Troll Guard, only about 9 of them left out of the 30 that were there before. Bearing down upon my Roqueni Megaloro. I'm not going to let them do that. And if you look here, I've retreated all the way across where my javelins and things like that are going to be able to prey upon units moving through the mud. It's going to give us some extra time. Hopefully we'll be able to use all of our ammunition and get the maximum value from those ranged units. And then over here, my ally Obsidian has reformed in the past. We're a little bit separated from one another, but we are still able to come to each other's aid if we are attacked, and we are, of course, depending on where they want to focus, if they focus on one of us, we'll be able to present a serious threat to their flank, and that's not something that I think they're going to allow to happen. So, potentially we can get them to split their forces here. We have done a decent amount of damage to them with, I think, about a 16% lead. Yeah, that sounds about right. The poor Mounted Company, they got beat up. They got beat up so bad. Riders of Dweilwyn have now moved over here. They're in a really good position to assail the rear of Belagos's army, and Artorias as well. And I think they realize that, so they're going to pull back behind some of the stakes. I think these are actually the stakes that we ended up placing, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's going to play against us a little bit. Yep, both Outriders here. 2 units of that light cav, which can be so devastating. We saw that in one of our previous games. The Outriders can be real game changers if you let them. What do we got going on over here? Just some routing units, some Wolf Guard. Fleeing in the face of the Ents, probably. And I've now brought my Hunters of Kelegorm forward, and I'm going to swing over this way with a whole bunch of cavalry. So I'm going to take my Roqueni Megaloro. I think I end up taking both my units of Riders of the Past just to be sort of meat shields for my more important units. And I don't know what happens with this unit. I think it makes its way over there eventually. But I am moving forward with the Archers of Amrod, laying down a bit of fire here into these thralls. Really good opportunity as they move through this difficult terrain to bleed them dry. Belagos is going to react to that, and send another company of thralls over there. My guys are kind of in a very hasty column formation, so anything that comes into them is basically all the arrows are going to hit, because there's no way that they can miss or overshoot. And seeing that, and also seeing his archers approaching, I will start to pull back my Archers of Amrod. I think I've sent the other unit over this direction. Yes, indeed I have. They're going to come here and support the main body of my very feeble Feanor infantry. Let's go ahead, kick it into full speed now. I think there might be some hidden units over here. Yes, indeed there are. Muffins has very boldly vanguarded his Randir Mental Glen. There's some great opportunities here to shred units. I think he's probably waiting for the Mangonel crew, or maybe he's going to go after the Ironshot Ravagers, which would be a huge, huge deal. The Legionaries and the Chewed Up Troll Guard is something that we can handle, but the Ironshot Ravagers, on the other hand, they can be very devastating off the charge, and our units aren't going to be able to stand up to like a full frontal charge from the Ironshot Ravagers. Like, that'll just shred its way through my Adine. So, got a little fight over here. Nope, this is just more of my units being sent on another deep flanking move. Probably would have been faster to just go around this way, but it's easier to see. It's easier to lose track of units on the field when they're hiding behind a mountain like this. It's just a little bit of sneakiness there. Trying to dissimulate our intentions. It doesn't always work, but you know, sometimes it does. Arbalest moving forward, Scourge is moving forward. They're just preparing for a massive assault here. Scouts of Gelion can be bullied out of place, essentially, by a combination of Archer Fire and the remaining Troll Guard being brought forth. Sentries of Gelion here, nearly a full unit of. Just 22 of these Horse Archers. Trying to use up ammunition. But now kind of our worst fears, I guess, have been realized because they've got Mangonels in a good position. We can't really come forward. Like, we really don't want to come forward. So this is all the Muffins, I think, can do for now. Try to either bait Mangonel volleys or kill off some of the skirmishers, or just do something. Just a little bit of harassment can go a long way in order to bait your enemies to do something that they, in hindsight, would probably rather not do. That's close. Oh, that's so close. I love how sneaky that is. But it looks like they've sighted the Randir. I'm not too sure what they're going after. But it seems like they're going after just pure kills with the Legionaries. Probably would have been a better idea to go after the Ravagers. Oh, look at that. He's going to throw a unit of sentries under the bus. Probably almost out of ammunition. That's going to draw the ire of the Lungskars as well. Definitely want blood at this point. Those sentries are going to get slaughtered, but the Randir will be able to make good their escape. Muffins is going to stop them, turn around. I think he's going to go for a shot against the Lungskaras, which it's not the most optimal target, but I mean, why not, right? They got 7 armor. These guys do 6 damage. Might as well use it. He's not going to be able to play his stealthy tricks more than once, I think. Gonna get anybody? Nope. Thrall's Bang Band now moving forward, and they're gonna keep the Randir at bay. I think they might even be able to hit them from there. Yes, indeed. So Muffins is gonna have to be careful. I'm gonna move forward with my Archers of Amrod, try and support my ally. And just pew pew a little bit. Either put shots into the flank of these Legionnaires, thin out their numbers, or just straight up go toe to toe with Thralls of Angband. Use that superior heavy armor. And soak up as much of their damage as they possibly can. Oh no, more of those valuable Rangers now being cut down. Yeah, looking back on it, this is potentially a very perilous situation. My ally is, of course, close enough to be able to support me, but if they went hard on me and didn't try to like hold a whole lot of stuff in reserve for Muffins, or if they just held just enough that they could bombard poor Muffins with the Orc Mangonels, then yeah, this could have been a much tougher situation, I think. Sorry about that. Had to sneeze. But now you can see them beginning to move forward. My cavalry getting into position behind the enemy lines. We are going to be stymied somewhat by the presence of stakes and things like that, which is going to slow our advance. So we've got Ash Priests hiding in here. amongst the warband, which is a good tactic, common tactic lately too. Mixing in your like really strong relentless units with a seemingly harmless unit that you're not going to pay a lot of attention to. It's very sneaky indeed. Oh man, this poor Wolf Guard. They just really got beat to hell in this game. Looks like the archers trading blows with the thralls. They'll do pretty well. And the thralls aren't really going to be able to pierce that 11 armor very easily, so they should be able to tank most of the damage that they can do. Which is, of course, another important thing, because the green elves are really the infantry powerhouse in this, and they can be shut down hard by large numbers of low-tier projectiles like this because of how feeble their armor values are. And at least they're using them on me and not on, you know, something valuable like the Scouts of Gelion, etc., etc. Uh-oh. Things starting to kick off now. I can see I've drawn the ire of Artorius, and it looks like he's starting to shift his forces a little bit farther towards me. This stalemate has been going on for quite a while, though, so I think we're going to start to see some action here as the Orc players decide to do something decisive. I've got my other unit of archers over here, just trying to cut down on as many of their numbers as possible. Randirman Tolgalen over here as well. They're going to support my archers by firing a volley forward. I don't know if I saw this in time. Oh, I will end up seeing it. I'm going to take my archers and hightail it out of there, basically, as quickly as I possibly can. I'm going to position my mid-range skirmish units at the other end of this this muddy patch here, so that we can take full advantage of how slow these units are going to be coming through here. Got Legionnaires and Ravagers kind of leading the way. I've got my Archers of Amrod back here. They're in a really good position to lay down the pain into either the rear or the side, and I think that they're going to be pretty safe. I could have potentially charged with my Hunters of Caligorm here, but that's not the greatest idea with the presence of the Ironshod Ravagers. Their countercharge does very, very well against cavalry, so that is something that I kind of had to bear in mind. But here, me thinking I'm all clever and stuff, putting my Archers of Amrod there, I'm going to try and run them through this gap, but they're doing a really good job to try and pincer me here. I'm going to move my other unit of Mounted Company to try and like stymie this advance, if at all I can. Tossing javelins into the rear of the Spear Guard, we will get a decent amount of value off of that. And there is a big opportunity here to go for some of the Thralls of Angband, which I don't know if we end up doing or not. We are picking off a good amount of Spear Guard. You can see a lot of dead on the field there. But unfortunately, my Archers of Amrod, a full unit of them ends up in close quarters with Ravagers, which is not good. That being said, I did manage to get into the Legionnaires with my Hunters of Caligorm, and that's going to be another really devastating charge for them there. Over here, my Stalkers of Thargelion getting caught out before they can use all of their javelins. And over here, Legionnaires going toe-to-toe with my Veteran Stalkers with their chevrons, but the Troll Guard being brought in there as well. It's not going to go super well for us, and a little bit of friendly fire from the Rangers there. In addition, my Stalkers are just getting absolutely massacred. You can see them focusing a lot of power and attention on me, and was sort of a nightmare scenario, but also not the worst thing, because now Muffins is going to be able to come to my aid. And I actually moved a couple units of my Spearmen over here. Forgot about them for a while, but we're going to bring them into the rear of these mangonels and such soon enough. Muffins has thankfully arrived on scene just as it was starting to get really, really desperate. Although my unit of Stalkers over here backed up with the O-Torn, they're going to do very well against Sanguine Infantry. They're also getting javelins rained upon them while this happens. So some really nice like combined arms here. Over here, some of the light infantry fighting hard against the advancing Orc units. I'm just not able to extricate my Archers of Amrod from this horrendous situation, and Beligos is just going to push right through them. They won't be long for this world, unfortunately. Over here, I think I managed to get a good charge off with maybe some of my cavalry. Yes, indeed. You can see a few dead Mounted Company there, so we do manage to wipe out most of a unit of Wretches, and that unit of cavalry is getting way out of position, so a bit of a micro mistake here on my part. But speaking of cavalry, you can see now my cavalry beginning to advance over here. There's a line of stakes. We're going to have to be very careful when we try to pass through. But we'll be able to do that if you guys are a little bit unfamiliar with Medieval 2 mechanics. You can walk through stakes with cavalry, you just can't run through them. If you try to run through them, you get skewered. Sorry about that. Just had to clear my throat. Hishpokra's hunters, 2 units of them, moving forward to try and support this assault. Artillery over here. Would have been a really good idea to concentrate their artillery right on my Otor and Maitimo. Not too sure why they didn't do that. You can see the Urfinen Tower using fire arrows, trying to break some of these Gijek units. It's going to be successful with routing some of the Angband troops, but the Tollengauerhof units are made a little bit sterner stuff. Scourges of Gothma getting absolutely massacred before they can get into melee. Really unfortunate for them. I think the mangonels are now trying to fire. I'm not too sure at what. They will get disrupted here by one of the Ents, which is a really good move on Muffin's part. This other unit is going to try... Ooh, is a really juicy target over here, and I'm not too sure why they brought them this close. I think that was a really, really costly mistake. Over here you can see Thralls of Angband getting riven in two by a couple units of the Outriders of Wheelwind. Oh no, there goes the Green Elf General getting hacked down. Big Tree Men getting hacked down by the Two-Handers. They are a really strong counter to Elfin class units. Oh, and those mangonels are about to burst here. Oh, I'm going to try and go for my cavalry. They are going to cook quite a number of them. The cavalry were busy stoving in the wing of this Tollengauerhof infantry when they got fire rained on them from above. You can see that that's actually going to claim the lives of many of these green elves here as well. And they're just rushing to get into close quarters. Me seeing an opportunity here, I'm going to try and bring my Hunters of Kelegorm through. You can see the rest of my cavalry now arriving on scene. My shield bearers are of course here to assist our cavalry. Riders of the Pass are going to pin these Laugskaras in place while the shield bearers of Helleborn do their work. Oh no, the Laugskaras are going to pull out though, get a nice rear charge into those Outriders. The Outrider unit is over here, just awaiting some new orders. Oh man, getting shredded by the Hishpokra's hunters. Over here, we've got some more Laugskaras coming around, trying to encircle us. But I do have a second wave of my cavalry that consists of melee cavalry and, of course, my knights that are slowly crossing this this stake line here. So hopefully we'll be able to get them into the fray soon enough. Recruiting Magloro, please move, please go faster. But it looks like Artorias' cavalry is going to potentially arrive there quicker than us. Nope. This is where I think my units end up kicking up into a run.
Only half the enemy force remains.
Shield bearers smacking about the thralls and supporting my cavalry against the Laugskaras that are already here. Nice route there from the Hishpokras units, but they are potentially going to get pincered. And a nice move here by Artorias, completely surrounding this cavalry. It looks like they changed tack and instead go for a nice rear charge against the Outriders of Wheelwind. Probably a better idea. They are certainly a bigger threat. But if we look at the front lines here, Angband has managed to come from behind against the Urfinen Tower and my Green Elf reinforcements, which is going to isolate my Otorn very heavily, but luckily for us, 2 units of the Hunters of Wrath L'Oreal have arrived as well. I've got some mounted company coming in from the rear. The Wretches are going to break almost immediately. However, the high-tier spearmen are made of much sterner stuff. And the Spearguard are going to rally together here, basically, and push towards the Green Elf Javelin Men. They're going to make them pay for every step with blood. I think they might get one final volley off. No, I don't think so. Nope, they're going to get caught there. And the heavy Angband infantry is going to smash into them, but at the same time, Urfinen Tower, a free company of them, is going to smash into the rear of the Spear Guard. So while Angband and Tollengauerhof have managed to push through here, you can see that they're smashing their way in. We are inflicting some pretty serious casualties on them. We've managed to get our hands on the Mangonel crew, and they are now no longer a threat. There's some Ash Priest mixed in here, though, and that's going to be a nasty thing for a lot of my Riders of the Pass and the Riders of the Wheelwind. But that is okay. We have a bit of a breakthrough here. And there goes the Tollengauerhof General. Had a nice little breakthrough with the Earthman Tower. Spearhead of Gellion. I think there's some Scouts of Gellion mixed in there as well. And my Rangers of Helleborn, who have done very well for themselves in this game. And then another wave coming in from the rear with Shield Bearers and Roqueni Magloro. And now we're looking to kind of tighten the noose here a little bit. I don't want to let the Lausgaraz get away if I can help it. So I try to engage them with my Roqueni Magloro, and then of course got Shield Bearers nearby. Hopefully we take the opportunity to charge into these Lausgaraz. Yes, indeed we are going to. And a line of Spearmen is just going to drive them even closer into the Roqueni Magloro, but these armor-piercing wards trying to like basically muscle their way into the middle of the Roqueni. It's gonna hurt. The Roqueni are gonna take some pretty serious losses there. It's like, almost like a rear charge. But there's some two-handed spears and stuff now that are coming forward. Roqueni Magloro holding on. Those Lausgaraz are going to rout without the presence of their general to fill them with the courage to continue to carry on the fight. Hunters of Kelegorm here smashing into the Thralls of Angband. Really have gotten some good charges with the Hunters of Kelegorm this time around. I see an opportunity to free up some more resources. Oh no, getting shot in the rear there with the Mounted Company. But that final charge there is going to crush those Scarahai. That's not fun for them. Ooh, more fire being rained onto the ground. But Hunters of Wrath L'Oreal stood firm in the face of the Angband advance. A lot of dead green elves on the field, though. You can certainly see them there. Oh no, another fiery convocation from the artillery there. The Angband troops are basically rallying around. Ooh, there goes the Angband general. That's not great. But they are kind of rallying around this artillery piece as kind of a bastion. Mangonel crew is here, doing their best. The other Mangonel artillery being kind of just thrown under the bus in order to buy more time. But victorious Green Elves and Noldoran Elves are going to smash right through that front line. Earthman Tower are going to move to engage the Mangonel crew, who are on the verge of falling apart. And I think Artorias ends up admitting defeat here. I could have sworn I saw some routing Ash Priests, and that never happens unless you admit defeat. Orc Mangonel crew is basically going to break here, and this is like the last Angband position that our victorious armies are going to storm. And if you look at the percentages here, not the closest battle, but there are some cool tactics on display, and it does kind of show how important terrain can be. And you're going to see a lot more maps like this. I really like what Stewart of Dale has done with the mud here. I think it really does kind of change the game a little bit, and it honestly surprised me how much just a little bit of this like kind of slower terrain can totally change the dynamic and like the strategies and the tactics that you're going to use on each of these maps. This one obviously favors like ranged play, and there is kind of a no man's land, which I can very easily see like coalescing around these muddy areas as people aren't super willing to move forward. But that being said, plenty of ways around, lots of like green areas here. We were able to execute a couple of like really nice deep flanks, and for that reason, I think that there's plenty of ways to prevent this from becoming just like a stalemate. You know what I mean? Like trench warfare, people just staring at each other for 20 minutes. I think you have the tools definitely to break that out of that sort of situation. So yeah, 61 to 99. We did really well in that game, but our opponents, you know, they definitely did their best. I think that there was maybe a little bit of like micro mistakes, and they weren't incredibly coordinated with one another, but Muffins and I were also on voice, so it's to be expected that we'll be able to, you know, coordinate our movements a little bit better, and you saw a lot of that in this game. But yeah, it was like the second 2v2 where we kind of made like flanking and like rear attacks and like delay tactics and missile play and stuff like that really, really important. The other one was on the Dorthonion or Dorloman. Yeah, the Dorloman map, which was really enjoyable. And if you haven't seen that already, I did reference it in this game, but if you haven't seen it already, it should come out around the same time as this. But yeah, so let's take a look at some of our kills here, see what did what. Hunters of Kelegorm, 374 kills, really nice there. The Roqueni Magloro did alright with 128. Otor and Maitimo really mixing it up in the center there with the support of the Stalkers of Thargelion. And our Stalkers, they did okay. One got 77 kills, which is not bad. 128 on the other, however, which is really nice. Archers of Amrod got a ton of kills. Shield Bearers of Helleborn didn't really do a whole lot, but they were instrumental later in like supporting our cavalry units and things like that. Riders of the Pass, they did okay. Rangers of Helleborn, one of them only got 56, which I was honestly very surprised by. 86, I guess, is okay, but yeah, also I would have expected more from a unit that has like a heavy-duty javelin. But yeah, overall, good game. I gave a good game to my opponents as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Jordan, and I'll see you next time.